Let's move to our next topic, that is nested class. The question is, what is nested class? When you define one class into another class, then that is known as nested class. The question is why we need to do this? Why we need to define one class into another class? There are different requirements for these type of scenarios. Okay. One reason is, let me explain you this with an example. Let's say I have a class, employee class, which is holding employee related properties such as employee name, employee age, employee salary, okay, and then employee contact details. Now I want to further classify this contact details into other properties such as address, city name, country name, district name, pin code, email, contact number. There can be many other properties that you want to define in contact details, right? Which means that you want to further classify contact details for your employee class. In that type of situation, you need to further define contact detail as a class, okay? And that contact detail needs to be used within employee class only, because you don't need to use this class anywhere else in your project. So it's better, or it's always good to define contact detail class inside employee class so that you will have better code readability. All related concepts, all related classes, methods, everything will be placed at one place, and it makes better readability of entire code. It's a good programming practice, right? There is another requirement for nested class could be there, such as, for example, you need to convert your Java object into JSON object or XML data format. Okay. In that case, whatever the properties will be defined inside your Java class will be directly placed as a property inside JSON. So in those use cases, you will have a requirement where you need to define nested JSON, where you will have outer JSON, and inside that JSON you will have further other nested JSON objects there, okay, which are nothing but the relevant data that belongs to the main JSON object or outer JSON object. Okay, so whatever you are defining in the Java class properties wise, that will be exactly reflect in your JSON object when you perform conversion. Okay, so what you need to do in that case, you need to have nested Java class inside your main Java class, and when you convert it into JSON object, it will be exactly reflect into JSON object. However, you can avoid or skip to create this nested class, and you can use simply association. For example, if you have class A and you want to use class B into your class A, obviously you can define class B as a separate class and then you can refer it into your class A by using association, and then also you will access all the properties of class B inside class A. But again, the same thing, if you know that that B class is not going to be used anywhere else in my project, that is more relevant to class A only, and that is going to be used within my class A, so it is recommend to define B class as a nested class inside class A. It totally depends on your requirement. What scope you want to define for your class B, where you want to provide the access of class B, or where it needs to be used. Based on that, you need to define class B. Whether you want to define it as a separate class or within another class, it totally depends on your requirement. So this is about nested class. You can use it either for direct conversion into JSON, or you can use it for better code readability purpose. Okay. There could be other possible use case for nested class can be there as well, but let's stick with these two use cases as of now. Okay. Now let's talk about classification of nested class. We have total four type of nested class. One is known as static nested class. Second is known as inner class or instance nested class. The third one is known as local inner class, and fourth one is known as anonymous class. Let's talk about each of them one by one, and we will start with static nested class. A class which is defined inside another class with static keyword is known as static nested class. Okay, static nested class will be treated as a static data member of the class. Like whatever the static properties you define within a class, whatever the rules you have learned to access static properties will be equally applicable to your static nested class as well. Means, as you know, static data member of a class will be accessed by using either by using class name or by using object reference. Similarly, static nested class will also be accessed by using outer class name or outer class object reference as well. Let's better understand static nested class concept with this example. I have an outer class which is having static data member with the name of X holding 10. Okay. Inside this outer class, I am defining another class and I'm using static keyword to define it, which means this is going to be treated as a static nested class. Inside this class, I'm defining static method. Okay. This method is simply printing static nested class and show. That's it. Okay. Now, I want to invoke this method. As you already know that static methods always access by using class name or object reference, which means either I need to use this static nested class name to access this show method, or I need to instantiate that class, and using the object reference I can also call this show method. Okay, but the point is, because this class is not a normal class, it is defined inside my outer class. So first of all, I need to access this class name reference. Okay, to access class name reference, I need to use either outer class name or I need to use outer class object reference to access this static class name. Okay, because static class is going to be treated as a static data member, as I already told you, right? So what I am doing in my main class here, I am first of all accessing static nested class name by using outer class name reference, and then I'm able to access show method, and I'm calling that because this is a static method which is accessing by using static class name, and this static class name further access by using outer class name. Okay, or else I can create the object of static nested class, and obviously static nested class is accessing by using outer class name, and then after creating the object also I am able to call show method using object reference, because static method can access either by using class name or object reference. Let me run this program. You can see I'm getting show method message two times, because first time I'm calling it by using class name reference, and second time I'm calling it by using static nested class object reference. This was all about accessibility of static nested class, how we can access static nested class, and how we can access properties or functionalities of static nested class. Okay, now let's understand some of the important rules that belongs to static nested class concept. Okay, rule number one says that if your outer class is holding any static properties or instance properties and you want to access them inside your static nested class, then you can do that. But there is a rule. Rule says that you can only access static properties of outer class inside your static nested class. But if you'll try to access any instance property of your outer class, it will not allow. Okay, so static nested class can only access static properties or functionalities of its outer class. That is rule number one. Rule number two says that within your static nested class, you can define either static methods or you can define instance method. As you can see, I am defining both type of methods here, and then I am accessing them one by one, and both are easily getting access here. Okay, so this is rule number two. You can define both type of functionalities or properties within static nested class. These two rules you have to keep in your mind while you will prepare or you will go for any interview. Okay. Now in next class, we are going to discuss instance nested class or inner class.